I'm Aileen Fiest. I have been at Wedgwood for a little over 2 years now, I want to say. I am the activity therapist at DeVos as well as the AT coordinator.
So what drew you to this type of work and kind of what brought you to Wedgwood?
Okay, so I actually didn't even know what rec therapy AT was when I went to school, so I kind of just stumbled upon it in a random studies class at Grand Valley, and I was like, okay, I know I've always been a people person. I want to help people, but I don't have the brain to do the science it takes for nursing. So I found rec therapy and I loved it, and I just like the aspect of, helping people, but also it's helping people in a fun way, so you can turn anything into a learning experience. So yeah.
So can you explain a little bit what activity therapy is? It's so much more than just leading group exercises, right?
Yeah, it is. So I think the big thing I like to say is definitely learning leisure skills or learning those coping skills after something traumatic. I think the big thing we learned about in school was definitely being adaptive to those who have had a really serious injury. So a limb loss or something. So, maybe you love golf and now you have half of your leg missing. So how are we going to adapt to that? But I think in the mental health setting, it's definitely getting kids back to feeling like kids. They've all been through something super traumatic, super not okay for what their age is. So just making them feel normal, making them feel like a kid again. So whether it's literally going out and playing basketball as a team or with a group, just really teaching those skills to engage and be age appropriate.
So you talked about this a little bit, thinking about it in the mental health perspective. So when we're thinking about improving our mental health, we usually think about practicing mindfulness or talking to a therapist. Why is activity therapy so important, especially to the kids in our residential program?
Yeah, I think it definitely is that play aspect, making them feel like they're doing something that they want to do. They get a choice in the matter. They get to have fun. They get to experience something new. I think the biggest thing I've had is something simple. It's fall now. Took a kid to the apple orchard last year. He didn't even know what an apple orchard was. So just the little things that you think are normal everyday experience for you coming here in a mental health facility, it's not. Just little things make them happy. And I think that's great.
Helping create a more normal childhood environment for them.
Yes, for sure. Because I think, we have a structure, we have a day-to-day, everything we have to get done, but in the downtime, if we just want to be random or we want to have a dance party, it's okay to do, and it's normal.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
So how does activity therapy work with the other aspects of their treatment, like counseling and therapy?
Yeah, so I think we talk about the heavy stuff, obviously, in group therapy. They get that one-on-one with the therapist where I think they feel a little more comfortable to share, about trauma experience, how they're doing, but activity therapy is where they get to put it it's kind of a test to see if they are learning something in group or something from treatment. Simple as a communication skill, hey, we're not going to yell at each other. We're going to have a nice normal conversation if there's a problem. Or it's really focusing on, problem solving skills, just, really taking what they learn and putting it to use.
In a safe space to practice it. Nice. So what are some of the changes that you see in kids' behavior and attitudes as they participate in different therapeutic activities?
Yeah. I definitely think it's those aha moments when you can see that they're practicing what we're preaching over and over again. Hey, you struggle with your anger, so instead of blowing up and banging on walls, you're going to come and talk to me about it. So I definitely think it's those aha moments and just seeing them be kids that make it worthwhile.
Is there an activity that people would be surprised to know has therapeutic benefits?
Everything. Something as simple as baking cookies. That's normal. We want to make a treat for ourselves, so we're just going to go make some cookies. But for them, it's seeing if they know how to read the instructions and follow them step by step and not going ahead 5 steps, or just everything can be turned into a group. And I think it's definitely how you process it. It's not just, hey, what'd you get out of this? It's, what did you learn about yourself? What is something, could you see yourself doing this in the future by yourself? And just honing in on teaching those independent skills.
So are you seeing every task that anyone is doing? You're like, how can I turn this into an activity?
I definitely think residential, everything has a purpose and a value. It's, definitely how the words you use and how you if they get something out of it and if they're paying attention. I think the biggest thing too about activity therapy is if the staff are excited to do it, the kids are going to be excited to do it. So if we're just showing, hey, this is like a normal, what is normal? But anyway, everyday life type of thing, and I want you to be excited to try and learn it, you're going to get something out of it. Whether it's, oh yeah, I had fun, or I've never done this and I'm happy that I've tried something new.
Nice. We've talked about this a little bit, and part of the treatment is teaching kids healthy leisure and coping skills. Can you talk a little bit about what those are and how we help kids develop those?
Yeah. I think all of our leisure, coping skills, healthy outlets just come from practice. You know, you're going to have your bad days. That's okay. But it's getting stuck in those bad days where we see the problems. So I think, you know, I like to create not a strict schedule, but it's definitely a routine schedule. So every Monday we've been going to golf. So that's really fun for those guys. But I think also just, I don't know, doing something different every day or doing something for you to make you feel good is how these guys are going to learn, or the kids here too. But definitely comes from practice. Definitely also just different outlets of practicing like one coping skill. So relaxation. Okay, tonight we're going to color, or we're going to watch a movie, or we're going to like play like music and draw what feeling you get from this song or something like that. But definitely practicing it over and over different ways and just making sure that they realize they're getting something out of it. You know, hey, we're not just practicing this so you can get out of here and go through your treatment. It actually is going to benefit you in the long run.
So healthy leisure skills are just like good, productive ways to spend their time?
I would say so, yeah. Or doing something for you that makes you feel good. I think we focus a lot on self-esteem on our unit. Just really making sure that you're taking time to take care of you. If you're not feeling like being around people, go ahead. Go out there and keep to yourself. Really taking the time to focus on you and making sure you're happy.
Do you have any tips for people not in residential settings on how to help kids or even themselves build and develop these healthy leisure and coping skills?
Yeah, I definitely think it just comes from trying new things, stepping out of your comfort zone. You gotta do stuff. Gotta do stuff that scares you a little bit, but in a good way, right? Makes you feel good. Maybe it's going, I don't know.
Well, and you talked about, you know, taking a kid to an orchard for the first time. So it's a lot of first experiences for the kids here. So for other people, trying new things in a safe space is important.
I would say so. Yeah. And I think it's also just about living your life, not being afraid to do something, not, you know, always having to please people, doing it for yourself. Everything is a learning experience, whether you think it is or not.
Said like a true activity therapist.
Yes.
So what is your favorite part of your job?
I think my favorite part would be those aha moments, you know, for sure seeing the kids practice what they're learning or not even having to be reminded to do something. Like it just comes naturally. You're like, we've been working on that for a few months now, and something's clicking. It's really great to see that it's not just talking in circles constantly and like, hey, remember to do this, remember, and then finally clicking. And I think the other thing too is seeing them be kids. We've got guys 13 to 17 on the unit, and some of them have been here their whole teenage years, some of them just a few months, but still just seeing them be normal, like kids interacting is that good part too.
Do you have a favorite activity that you or your team have planned for the kids here on campus? Or I guess off campus?
Yeah. I have a lot. I really like to do like group initiatives. So I think a fun one that I like to do for communication is it's almost like charades, but it's draw, act, describe. So essentially grab a word, they get like 2 minutes, or on teams, grab a word. Okay, it's cup. You pick draw, so we have to draw, so you can't use your words or anything. But just like fun little games like that work on different skills that they need for everyday life.
Mm-hmm. But do you think the kids realize that they're learning things necessarily, or they're just like, oh, it's time for a game?
No, they really don't know, because I did that actually probably, a month ago maybe, and I didn't even tell them, hey, this is a communication activity. I was like, we're just going to do this. So then at the end when I'm processing, I'm like, what do you guys think you worked on? Like, what were we doing with the 3 ways of communicating this word to the team? And yeah, they got it, but I didn't have to tell them what we were doing. So that's a good part too of the job, is they're learning things even though they don't realize they are.
Mm-hmm. Sneaky. Is there a kid's story that you found to be really impactful?
I think there's a few that stick out. I know when I first started here, we definitely had a different group of guys compared to where we are now. But I do know that one is successful. He discharged. He has like a job doing yard work and everything. He's staying out of trouble, which is always good to hear. But yeah, I think there's so many different, they all have stories. But
Yeah, and it's nice to see, some success.
Yeah. Not that it's all bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's got to remember that success looks different for everybody too. So
yeah.
What does it mean to you to work for an organization like Wedgwood, who is dedicated to grace and excellence?
Well, it's definitely appreciative. I think it just shows like what we're doing for these kids that are here, the treatment we provide. We're doing it because we want to do it. That's who we are as a person. It's not just a job. No, I want to help these kids. I want to find them hope for their future. I want them to find good change while they're here. I think really reminding them to, find something good, something happy out of each day, being appreciative. I know, like I said, we're going to have bad days, but if we can come here and make one little change in someone, I think that's a positive and a bonus of the job.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Is there one thing about Wedgwood that you think would surprise people?
Yeah, I think like when people think of residential or something, I think they think maybe like bad kid, but they're not bad. They've just gone through something traumatic, horrible, and now they're here to get the help that they couldn't get elsewhere. And yeah, we're here to give that and, I don't know, change that stigma maybe.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's an excellent point that just because they've been maybe dealt a bad hand doesn't necessarily mean that they're inherently flawed.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's a delight to talk to you today. So thank you so much for sharing a bit of your story and insight into the important work that you do here at Wedgwood. We are grateful for all that you do to help restore a sense of wholeness to the kids in our care. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.